Hello everyone, welcome to my channel SW Metro official channel.
Kody Brown, the once doting father figure, stood frozen in the doorway, his face a mask of shock and betrayal as he watched Aurora, his beloved daughter, laughing and holding hands with a young man he had never seen before. The sight of her so carefree, so unapologetically in love, sent a sharp pang through his chest, a mix of paternal protectiveness and something darker, something more possessive. Aurora, oblivious to his presence, leaned in to kiss her boyfriend goodbye, sealing Kody's fury. In that moment, something inside him snapped. The man who had always preached about family loyalty and unity now felt the sting of what he perceived as the ultimate betrayal. Without thinking, he stormed outside, his voice trembling with rage as he confronted Aurora. "How could you?" he seethed, his hands shaking. "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me? Sneaking around, lying to my face?" Aurora's eyes widened in horror as she tried to explain, but Kody wasn't listening. His mind was already made up, she had crossed a line, and there was no coming back from it. "Get out," he growled, his voice dangerously low. "If you want to live like this, then you're no longer welcome under my roof." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Aurora, tears streaming down her face, could only stare in disbelief as her father turned his back on her, slamming the door behind him. The sound echoed through the neighborhood, a brutal finality to their relationship. Inside, Kody collapsed onto the couch, his anger giving way to a crushing emptiness. He had always prided himself on being the head of his family, the one who held them all together. But now, in his quest for control, he had pushed away one of the people he loved most. The house felt eerily silent, the weight of his actions settling over him like a suffocating blanket. Meanwhile, Aurora stood on the sidewalk, clutching her phone, her entire world shattered in an instant. She had known her father could be stubborn, even unreasonable at times, but she never imagined he would disown her over something as normal as dating. As she called a friend for a place to stay, the reality of her situation sank in. She was truly on her own now. Back inside, Kody stared at the family photos on the wall, the smiling faces now a painful reminder of what he had lost. Had he overreacted? Maybe. But his pride wouldn't let him admit it. Instead, he doubled down, convincing himself that he had done the right thing. Aurora needed to learn respect, he told himself. She needed to understand that family came first. But as the hours passed, his resolve wavered. The silence was deafening, the absence of her laughter a constant ache. For the first time in years, Kody Brown felt truly alone. The man who had always preached about love and unity had let his own insecurities destroy the very bond he claimed to cherish. And as the sun set outside, casting long shadows across the empty living room, he was left with nothing but regret and the haunting question, was it worth it? The fallout was immediate. The rest of the Brown family was divided, some siding with Kody, insisting that Aurora should have been more respectful of his rules, while others were horrified by his harshness. Robin, usually Kody's staunchest supporter, found herself torn between loyalty to her husband and love for her daughter. "She's just a young girl," Robin pleaded with Kody later that night. "You can't just throw her out like that." But Kody, still stewing in his wounded pride, refused to back down. "She knew the rules," he snapped. "If she wants to make adult decisions, then she can live with the consequences." Robin's heart broke as she realized that her husband's stubbornness might cost them their relationship with their daughter forever. Meanwhile, Aurora, staying with a friend, struggled to process what had happened. One moment, she had been happy, in love, excited about the future. The next, she was homeless, abandoned by the man who was supposed to protect her. The pain was unbearable, but so was the anger. How could her father claim to love her if he was willing to discard her so easily? As days turned into weeks, the rift only grew wider. Kody, though secretly miserable, refused to reach out, convinced that Aurora should be the one to apologize. But Aurora, hurt and humiliated, refused to beg for forgiveness when she didn't believe she had done anything wrong. The standoff seemed unbreakable, a battle of wills with no end in sight. The rest of the family tried to mediate, but it was no use. Kody's ego and Aurora's heartbreak were too powerful to overcome. Family gatherings, once filled with laughter, were now tense and awkward, the absence of Aurora a gaping wound no one dared to acknowledge. Even the other children, who had once looked up to Kody, began to see him in a different light. Was this the kind of father he truly was, one who would cast out his own child for falling in love? The more time passed, the more Kody's justification for his actions rang hollow. Deep down, he knew he had made a mistake, but admitting it would mean admitting weakness, and that was something Kody Brown could never do. Months later, the damage was irreversible. Aurora, now living on her own, had built a new life, one that didn't include her father. She had learned the hard way that love could be conditional, even from those who claimed it was eternal. Kody, meanwhile, drowned in his regrets, the empty space at the dinner table a constant reminder of what he had lost. He had gone too far, and now it was too late to take it back. The man who had once ruled his family with an iron fist was now a lonely, broken figure, haunted by the consequences of his own actions. And as he sat alone in the quiet house, he finally understood the truth. In his quest for control, he had lost the one thing that truly mattered, his daughter's love. Kody Brown, the once dominant patriarch of the plural family, had always prided himself on control over his wives, his children, and the dynamics of their unconventional lifestyle. But when he discovered that his daughter Aurora was secretly dating a boyfriend, something inside him shattered. The man who had once preached about family loyalty and unity now stood trembling with rage, his face a mask of betrayal and fury. Aurora, his bright-eyed, once obedient daughter, had dared to defy him, to step outside the carefully constructed world he had built for her. And in that moment, as the truth crashed over him like a tidal wave, Kody's heartbreak transformed into something darker, something vengeful. It had started with whispers. A hushed phone call here, a furtive text message there. Aurora had always been close with her siblings, but lately, she had been distant, lost in her own world. At first, Kody dismissed it as teenage moodiness, but then the rumors reached him. A friend of the family had spotted Aurora holding hands with a young man at the mall. Another claimed to have seen them sharing a milkshake at a diner, laughing like any normal couple. Kody's blood ran cold. Aurora knew the rules, dating outside the family's belief system was forbidden. The Brown family lived by their own code, one that Kody enforced with an iron will. And now, his own flesh and blood had betrayed him. The confrontation was inevitable. Kody stormed into Aurora's room without knocking, his face flushed with anger. Aurora looked up from her phone, her expression shifting from surprise to fear in an instant. "Who is he?" Kody demanded, his voice dangerously low. Aurora hesitated, her fingers tightening around her phone. "Dad, I can explain," but Kody wasn't in the mood for explanations. He snatched the phone from her hands, scrolling through her messages with shaking fingers. What he found confirmed his worst fears: photos, sweet nothings, plans for future dates. His daughter, his Aurora, had been living a double life. The argument that followed was explosive. Aurora, usually so compliant, stood her ground. "I have a right to be happy," she shouted, tears streaming down her face. "You can't control me forever." Kody's vision blurred with rage. How dare she? After everything he had done for her, after all the sacrifices he had made to keep their family together? This was how she repaid him? By sneaking around, by disrespecting his authority? His voice trembled as he pointed to the door. "Get out." Aurora froze, disbelief washing over her. "What?" "You heard me," Kody snarled. "If you want to live like some rebellious teenager, then you can do it under someone else's roof. You're no daughter of mine." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Aurora's face crumpled, but she didn't beg. Instead, she turned on her heel, grabbed a bag, and began stuffing clothes into it. The rest of the family stood frozen in the hallway, their faces a mix of shock and horror. Robin, Aurora's mother, reached out, her voice breaking. "Kody, please, you can't do this." But Kody was beyond reason. His pride had been wounded, his authority challenged. In his mind, this was the only way to restore order. As Aurora walked out the door, suitcase in hand, the weight of what had just happened settled over the household. Kody's chest ached, but he refused to show weakness. This was about principle. This was about respect. But deep down, beneath the fury and the stubbornness, a gnawing doubt crept in. Had he gone too far? Had he just destroyed the one thing he had sworn to protect? The days that followed were tense. Aurora moved in with a friend, refusing to answer her father's calls. The other wives tiptoed around Kody, afraid to reignite his temper. The family, once so tightly knit, now felt fractured beyond repair. And Kody? He sat alone in his study, staring at old family photos, wondering if he had made the biggest mistake of his life.